Sotteli, joined by Cristian. And, in the sports world, there's a lot of heartbreak that takes shape in many different forms, as I would know, but nothing quite as devastating from thinking you are in a game to then being absolutely torched in the closing quarter or closing half of a game. And that, well, is exactly what happened to the Texas Longhorns.
I'm still getting over it. And it hurts.
It
hurts. But that's what it comes down to when you're a fan of Texas sports in general. It's not pretty whatsoever. It's painful. It's withstanding the ridicule and all that. But you know what? It's okay. It's a part of the game, right? And ultimately that's what it comes down to. It's okay. It's all right. But yes, Jonathan, yes, as a matter of fact, we did lose yet again for the third straight time to the Georgia Bulldogs. I cannot do this anymore. Jonathan, what? Help me.
It's tough, right? I mean, that game, you're looking at it, it's 14-10, right? Going into the fourth quarter. I mean, you have a close game on your hands where it really looks like either team can win. And then what happens? What happens to the Texas defense and the Texas offense? Nothing can happen for that team. And it's just, how many unanswered points was that?
21.
21 unanswered points.
Like, what are we doing? 21? That's insane. In one quarter alone, that's insane.
No, I know. It's not even like, what did the coach say at the halftime talk? It's the fourth quarter. I mean, that hurts because you didn't close out that game.
It's like Sark literally told his defense, "Hey guys, I need you guys to relax a little bit."
Yeah.
At least that's the message to the D. And then Arch started throwing interceptions and just started going downhill from there. And now we are officially out of the playoffs because no matter what we do, even if we pull an upset on Thanksgiving or Black Friday, I should say, against A&M, it ain't gonna do nothing for us. We're going to the freaking Las Vegas Bowl, for God's sakes. It doesn't even matter. I don't care if we go to Pop-Tart Bowl. We're not going to the playoffs.
No, that is a rough situation to be in when a team gets 3 losses in this format. And speaking, if you're ready to move on.
Yeah, let's, because I can't with this anymore.
Because I know we can drill on this for a while and really have a, long talk about that. But speaking of teams that are in danger of missing out on playoffs, but also have now put themselves in the unique position to get into playoffs, we have our very own USC Trojans.
They did it. They managed to win against Iowa.
And it was, like we said, a very close game. That game ended 26-21, with USC moving up to rank 16 in the AP poll. But it was a very interesting game if you're looking at it. I mean, USC started off really bad. You look at that, it was horrible. The half ends 21-10 with Iowa in the lead. And first of all, Iowa had a better passing quarterback in the first half. Better than Jaden Mayava, who has been one of the best passing yards all season. And so I don't know what was going on. Obviously, it was raining, and that's a big thing. USC apparently could not play in the rain because after the half ends, it's like a miracle. The rain stops. Third quarter starts, no rain. It's been raining the whole game, and suddenly USC looks like a completely different team. They march right down the field. They mount what looked like unsurmountable comeback for them, and they take the win. And it had stopped raining, which I thought was hilarious.
I think it was amazing too. You put up 16 points against Iowa, 16 unanswered points. Yeah. Iowa wasn't able to score, and they came close. We saw how close they came on that last drive where they turned the ball over on downs because of some smart defensive back plays there where they had to shove the receiver out of bounds. And I mean, I think it was the right thing to do at the right moment, and it could have ended in a situation similar to the Indiana game against Penn State where they almost lost that game.
Yeah.
Had it not been for that little toe that happened a step inside. Except on this time, Iowa's receiver just happened to be half a size too big of a shoe that happened to step on the white hash, and that ultimately killed it for the Cyclones. Yeah, the Hawkeyes.
For the Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes. Yeah, sorry, wrong Iowa team. But yeah, they came close. USC manages to pull it off,
And now they are off north to Eugene.
Yeah. And real quick, before we get to that, there was one other major play that happened in that game, and it wasn't even... Okay, right, USC, right? They get the turnover on downs.
Right.
They come back the other way. They're getting stopped. It looks like Iowa's going to get the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
But when in their dire moment, first the miracle of no rain, and then the rain comes back, and USC looks terrible to try and end the game, close it out. It wasn't a defensive effort. It wasn't even our offensive effort. An assistant coach on Iowa's side gets unsportsmanlike conduct to end the game, and the USC gets to kneel. So just crazy there. I don't know.
I think it's one of those things where the dominoes just, if you're Iowa, the domino pieces just do not fall into place for you.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going wrong. It reminds me a little bit of a high school football game that I attended. I will talk about a little bit later. But yeah, dominoes not falling into place for you, and unfortunately now Iowa, has to suffer the consequences of that. USC gets the W. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard, especially. I mean, I can't imagine being that assistant coach and going back to the locker room and being like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, I know we want to move on to Oregon, but do you think that they would fire this assistant coach? Do you think his tenure's done? Because we've seen a lot of coaches getting fired.
Nah, not for this.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I think, look how many chances Iowa had to win this game. You can't blame it on that coach.
No, you can't blame it on him, but that,
I think it's minuscule at most.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's severe to fire him like that.
That's
but
fair.
That, I don't know. That's my take on it.
But that game aside,
yeah, we're going to Eugene, with that comes Kirk Herbstreit, Nick Saban, Reese Davis. I forget. Oh my God, the Heisman winner.
Oh God,
Jesus,
yeah.
Desmond Howard.
There you go.
Jesus. Nobody post this on socials, please. I don't want to get flamed on by the whole College Game Day crew. And Desmond Howard, no less. Super Bowl MVP and Heisman Trophy winner.
There you go.
Yeah. For that. But yes, College Game Day for the first time since when?
It was the first time since, I want to say,
2016. 2016.
November 12th. So literally a week ago. Then...
and many years ago.
USC got a College Game Day against Washington, and that was the last time.
That was the last time. Was that at Washington?
That was, yes, at Washington.
At Washington. It's been a long time. And yet again, here we go, not being at home, which sucks because guess what? Saturday it ain't raining here. Yeah. But that would have been great. But they get to go up to Eugene with College Game Day. I think that's amazing. It's a long time coming. I've been saying it. I don't think this USC team is getting the notoriety, the respect that it deserves. They've been through grit and iron to get to this point, especially with the Illinois loss. We know how tough that was on this team. But here they are. College Game Day, you got the eyes of the nation are going to be on you.
Yeah.
And so much at stake.
And that's huge.
So much.
I mean, College Game Day to come to this game, obviously, but they've already been to Oregon once this year. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing, because obviously you don't want to go back to the same city, college. And
I saw somebody on Instagram complaining about, because there was the whole debate about, College Game Day is going to too many SEC games. No, they're going to too many Big Ten games. And now because they're going back to Eugene for a second time. Oh, they're going to Eugene again? Really? What about the Big Sky Championship? Who cares about the Big Sky, man? USC has a chance to make it to the playoff here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think this was the right choice to go to Eugene.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think it's going to be a very good game. Now, obviously, right now, there's no rain predicted.
For now.
Obviously, that was a different story yesterday. It could be a different story tomorrow. And that is going to be a massive factor of this game because, I mean, I know they're going to go into it a little more later, but USC cannot. I mean, King Miller, great guy, great running back. They cannot compete if it becomes, because if it's raining, you're not really throwing the ball well. The receivers aren't going to be catching the ball well. I mean, you saw that against Iowa. So if we have that sort of offense against Oregon, it's not looking great for the Trojans.
This is one of the times in the year that we're getting the most rain that we've received the entire year, and these Southern California boys, especially on the football team that have been living here, and even if those that are not from SoCal have been living here in LA for this long period of time where they're used to the sunny and the the nice weather we have out here, the rain is going to be that big factor. And we were talking about it in pre-production, exactly like you said. If it rains Saturday, it could be disastrous for us. It's going to be disastrous. Now, let's do some quick predictions really quick.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think we have a chance here against Dante Moore and this incredible Mighty Duck offense, or is it going to be hunting season, baby? We're going to shoot some ducks down. What's going to happen?
I think, despite the injuries we just picked up in this last game,
right,
I really do think USC has a chance. And I know it's obviously a hot take. It's going to be a big upset if it happens. But if USC can get it together in the first half, that's the big. They have these games where they come back in the second half and it looks great in the second half, and they need something. They need to work on that first half because they cannot play poorly in the first half. They need to set the tone. At the start of the Notre Dame game, I loved how they came out. They didn't get the result we wanted, obviously, but the way they came out firing, ready to go, they shot down the field like you'd never believe. Like, that offense looked phenomenal. If they can come out with that intensity, it's not raining, please. If it's not raining, they have that intensity. I mean, obviously the common denominator was Iowa, was a recent game for Oregon, and it was a recent game for us, and was both very close. That shows you, obviously, different teams, so, us versus them, completely different than us versus Iowa in any matchup, right? But that shows you at least that there is some level of equal playing field. It's not like it's going to be an absolute blowout. I think that USC has a chance. I don't think it's going to be by any means a blowout in our direction. I think it's going to be a close fourth quarter closeout like it was against Iowa if USC wins, and I think they can do it.
Now, I want to go on a limb here and say I don't think we're going to come away with a win. I don't think
that's a limb.
I was saying that because I think it's going to come close in the fourth quarter. But I feel like one costly mistake
is
gonna take to ruin it. And I think Oregon might have a chance to win by 7, maybe even 10 points.
Okay.
I think. But there's gonna be a costly mistake. It's gonna be like Texas game, right? We're getting there, and then boom, we lay an egg, and then that's gonna kill us.
Yeah.
So I think it at the end of the day it will come down to like the last 5-ish minutes of the fourth quarter. And then something will go terribly wrong. I think that's my prediction. And who knows? It might even be the rain.
It might be the rain. It could be the rain. The rain could show up. I mean, but I don't know, because the way I look at it, I'm looking at Makai Lemon. I mean, he phenomenal. You watch it. Obviously he had a few rough patches a few weeks ago, but now this game, the last game, he's phenomenal.
He's been great. Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know if Oregon can stop him. Obviously, we have to stop them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever the issue of, the offense isn't going to do their job. It's always going to come down to, can our defense do the job that needs to be done? And why I have some optimism for this team, Iowa, we held them, right? No points in the second half. Yeah. Right? And there was a little rain in the fourth quarter, which obviously things got sketchy, but still no points.
Yeah.
So they showed they can do it. It's will they do it without the home crowd? Because the Coliseum was erupting to try and get them to just stop them and getting to the point where you could just kneel the ball and the game's over and everyone could breathe.
Shout out to all the USC fans, too, that make that trip to the Coliseum in the rain. Yeah. Like I said, we don't get a lot of rain here, but, and a lot of people are scared to go out in the rain here in Southern Cal. But shout out to them. Shout out to Matt, too, for being in that crowd amongst the ones that took their shirt off in the crowd. He'll get more into that later, I'm hoping. But, yeah, really high optimism for this game. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. I think a lot of it will end up being, and even if USC is able to pull that win, it's going to come down to how well did they play or how bad did they play against Oregon.
Yeah.
Regardless, win or lose, it's going to be that. Especially win, right? They're going to criticize a lot on how Mayava commences offense, how Lincoln Riley manages the game as it goes. So it'll come down to that. But I still think it's going to be very hard for this USC team to come away with a win against Oregon. But we'll see.
Hopefully, right? Hey, listen, Mayava broke the interception streak, so anything's possible.
But Autzen it's a hard place to play at.
100%. No,
it's such a tough environment. I mean, it's crazy because you look at that stadium. It doesn't really look that big, but the crowd noise, it's just unbelievable, man. And compared to a rainy Coliseum to a rainy Autzen Stadium, Autzen's gonna be packed.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be
way louder.
Yeah.
Way, just everything is going
to And we talked about it in pre-production, right? The amount of tickets that have already been sold, plane tickets that are people already flying out there from LA to go see that game. People are already traveling up there because of game day too. Man, I wish so much that game day would have been here.
Yeah, that would have been really nice.
We'll get more into game day experiences and all that stuff later. Let's stick with college football really quick because a little incident happened in College Station where, for some reason, A&M came back and won this game 31-30 against South Carolina. They did not deserve to win that game. But credit to Marcel Reed and the whole A&M offense. I mean, they somehow managed to come from behind, climb their way up, and beat the Gamecocks by 1 point.
Yeah.
But in that game, in the second quarter, with 53 seconds to go, there's an incident that happened with a South Carolina running back and receiver that, after they scored a touchdown, they kind of like excessively ran into the tunnel, one of the tunnels in the stadium at Kyle Field. And as they were running through the tunnel, they were coming back, and there was a deputy that was standing right there. And what happens? He sort of gives a like little shoulder shove of sorts.
Yeah,
to the two players, more than anything to the receiver that had the ball. And I think the South Carolina players handled it with extreme professionalism, not engaging in it, because I felt like had they, that would have
been
not
bad.
been a good image for that team. But yeah, they handled it with professionalism. Later on, and as far as we know right now, all A&M has released information about this is that specific deputy, and I don't think a name was released with that either, was that he was relieved of his game day duties. There was no mention of a suspension, no mention of absolutely anything. I know Stephen A. Smith went on, I think it was First Take or something, but he mentioned that he should have been suspended. Right? What are your thoughts when an incident like this happens?
I mean, for this specific instance, right, like you're saying, there's 53 seconds left. The score, I feel like, plays a big part. It's 30-3.
Yeah.
Right? Your 10-0 season looks like it's turning into a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Like, this is just unbelievable. Now, obviously, he's a deputy. So, now, local, imagine, right?
Yeah,
so,
course,
you're going to be probably a fan of this team. Whether you like it or not, that's just who you're going to get. That's your clientele.
Yeah.
That being said, okay, obviously, it's a hard to watch. If this is, for example, this could be his team. It might not be. But from what it looks like he's a fan of this team. They're having a great season. Things are going to hell in a handbasket. And, you're upset.
Yeah.
You're mad. And obviously, it's just like, I think the moment got the better of him. And he sees these guys, obviously, they're pretty happy with how the game's going. And, I mean, they're coming towards him. Shoulder check, right? And it's just unacceptable, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's one thing if it was like a fan, but you're there as a deputy. Why are the deputies there? To protect the players.
Yeah.
They're there to protect these guys, and now you're the one who's shoulder checking them.
Yeah, and that's like you said,
that's where it draws the line, right?
Yeah.
It's your job description. You don't listen, you don't have to be unbiased. That's fine. You want to be cheering for your team or like quietly, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But you should not be hitting the guys you're trying to protect.
Right.
Don't care if they're on your team. Don't care if they're on the opposition. That's not okay. Obviously, he deserved to be relieved of game day duties. And like you're saying, Stephen A. Smith should be suspended. I kind of agree with that. I think there should be some suspension.
Yeah.
Or some sort of like, I don't know, retraining. They make everyone do retraining.
Something, I mean, yeah.
Like, because obviously it's not like he did something where it's like horrible. Like he didn't just full on like cold cock him.
That was,
you know what I mean? Like that's
I mean, bro, if like a sock check got Woody Hayes fired for hitting that Clemson player back in the was it 80s, 70s, whatever. Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, this guy would have been killed.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. It would have been bad. It would have been bad for him. I agree. I mean, you're wearing a badge, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah.
You're supposed to endure the professionalism, and even then, you're technically on the clock. If you're a fan of that team, I don't care. Like you're supposed to show that bias or unbiased.
Yeah.
Look at us. Like when we go and cover games as journalists, they tell us, right? Even if you like this team, you cannot show it.
Yeah.
You can't be wearing the hat, the sweater, the whatever. If that team loses, if your team loses, you can't show the emotion.
Can't show it, no.
Yeah. And you can't let your feelings get the best of you, especially in that moment, especially when you have 20, 30, 40, 50 cameras on you.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to go viral nowadays, and something like that, I mean, come on, he's not going to hear the end of it.
No.
He's not.
I think obviously it was a quick response from them to go, oh, yeah, he's suspended from game. I don't think that's where this ends.
Yeah.
I think we hear about this in a week or two, relieved of duties and other aspects, right?
Yeah, and like I said, there's no news yet as to what's going to happen. I know the official statement that was released was Texas Department of Public Safety, the DPS, was aware of the incident that occurred today at Texas A&M football game. The DPS trooper involved was sent home from the game. Our OIG, Office of Inspector General, is also aware of the incident, and we'll look further into the matter. So that's as far as we've got on that matter, and so we'll kind of see what happens, what ends up happening with that. But let's switch up north really quick, northeast to Boston College.
Yeah.
Boston College just recently lost in a very tight match to Georgia Tech, which wouldn't really have done anything for Boston College because their season's pretty much in the dumpster, but it would have been big because it would have killed a lot of the playoff chances that Georgia Tech has now. Granted, those playoff chances for GT are very low too, but even then, that would have been a big upset. The reason why we're bringing this topic up is because Kelly Quinlan on X took a picture of a certain walk-on quarterback, Shane Hannafin, junior walk-on quarterback, who he was taking a picture of him sitting down after the game, and I hear he was sitting down underneath the goalpost for a whole hour after the game. Just kind of breathing it in, taking it in, your last home game, your last everything. Reason why we're kind of bringing this topic up is because I kept seeing on Instagram a lot of comments that were sort of, in a way, criticizing the guy for doing that.
Yeah.
Some people were saying, well, it's his last college game, man. Like, let him take it in. Let him soak it in.
Yeah.
Some people are like, dude, what are you doing? Like, stop showing that emotion. Get up and leave. What are you fighting for? Like, your season's done.
Yeah.
Right. What's your take on it? I mean,
I think it's interesting that there's, in my personal opinion, that there's any like criticism of this because, frankly, being an athlete myself, that's huge. Your last home game,
yeah,
and it's obviously been a really hard season, and now you've had the chance at least to change the narrative to some aspect, right? Season's over, okay? Put that out of the way. This is a chance now to at least. You're playing for something bigger than yourself, right? You're playing for the team, you're playing for your college, you're playing for the fans. You want to give these fans something to, hey, the season horrible, but like there's that moment that they remember because they're not going to remember the losses. There was too many.
Yeah, way too many.
But you're going to remember that big win. And so to lose that game in that fashion, it stings. And I think that's okay to let that show, especially when it's your last home game. Why not? It's fine. He could sit there.
Yeah. He
can reflect on that. And, the next step. Well, what's the next step for an athlete after that? They're going to go to Syracuse, and they have to play away. And,
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
So, no problem to me to have that emotion after the game.
Yeah.
Let it sink in. Let it make you want to be better for the next game ahead. Now, if obviously, like, you're posting or whatever, all this extra stuff. Like, okay, if he's doing a whole thing about it, like, that's another thing. But like this, I don't know. It's a private moment that I don't think should have been publicized, right? Because there's really no one in the stands at that point. Right? It's an hour. But at the end of the day, these are college students. Let them feel the emotions they need to feel.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And I think one thing that a lot of people that are criticizing him are kind of missing here is he was a walk-on.
Yeah.
This guy, for all we know, wasn't recruited by top schools. Some people now in the world of NIL and the transfer portal and everything, they're bouncing from school to school. And this guy, whatever his decisions was to go to Boston College, he obviously didn't go with the intention of, winning a national championship.
No.
He's doing it for the love of the game and the passion. And, you don't walk onto a team, you're not. Look at Rudy. The guy knew he had like 0 to no chance to make it. And, he still... It's the grit, it's the perseverance and defying all odds to make it this far. And Shane did a good job. He made it on the roster. He got some playing time, which most college athletes don't. There's some that don't even get to step on the field. They wear the uniform, but they're just on the sidelines. But the fact that he got a chance to be there and get some playing time, to me, that's phenomenal in itself.
Yeah.
And in that, I really don't understand the criticism here. right? This, like you said, there shouldn't really be a reason why to criticize the guy when all he's really done is just prove himself and let him soak it in. Let him soak it in. Last time he's going to be here, he'll tell his kids, his grandkids, his great-grandkids about this, how, you know, his name will forever be embedded into the history books of Boston college football. Yeah. You know? How many other guys can say that they've played Division I football? You know,
no.
Shit, we can't.
No,
you know?
no, we can't.
But I mean, Shane here can, and playing in an arena in front of, I don't even know how many fit inside of Boston College's football field, probably like 60,000, 50,000. I mean, that's still big, and you know, you and I might not care about Boston college football, but Boston does. You know, So yeah, again, no criticism towards the guy, but he made it happen. Yeah, he made it happen. With that, we're gonna move really quick. I want to bring this up because I went to a particular, very interesting high school football game on Friday. Right, Bellflower was hosting Colton High School. Teams from different areas. Colton all the way in San Bernardino County, and Bellflower down in South LA. The thing made this particular game interesting was the fact that it was pouring down raining very hard. The conditions were not good at all. Adding on to that was Bellflower's Ron Yari Stadium, their field. It's a natural field. So with that came big chunks of mud, puddles. I mean, it was nasty. Now, one thing to mention, Colton's quarterback Koa Regalado, in their previous game against Ganesha, he threw 10 touchdowns. 10.
Wow.
9 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdowns. And the final score with that was 73-53 against Ganesha. So there was a lot of, you know, high hopes for Koa coming into this game. I mean, I know when I got this assignment, I was like, whoa, okay. And I immediately knew my brain went to, okay, clearly this weather's going to be a factor in this game because this kid's not going to be able to throw the ball for all that much, you know. And sure enough, he still managed to get some pretty decent stats. Completion to passing percentage was kind of low, rightfully so, because wet football, muddy football,
and your
muddy
receivers
hands,
are slipping,
and your receivers are slipping, And you know, with that, he still threw for, I think it was like 92 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, so he still did good. Bellflower, they run the wing T, which most teams nowadays don't. You know, it's all passing and trickery plays. But this particular team, coached by Coach Keith Miller, shout out to Coach Keith Miller. He's a great guy. They run the wing T offense, so all rushing plays. They tried throwing the ball a couple of times, and I think they maybe completed one pass, but through that, it came down to the wire. My boots were muddy as heck after. I mean, these kids were drenched in mud. And if I could pull the picture out really quick, because I want people to see this, because this is, honestly, you don't get to see this too often. Look at that. Look how muddy those kids were.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
You would think the uniforms are.
These uniforms, I hope people could see that, were maroon to start off.
Those were maroon. They weren't white?
No. Well, Colton was wearing white, but it was so hard because, like, I'm over here trying to keep stats for these players. It was so hard, man. I mean, after a while, you can't even see what number these kids are. I kind of had to rely on my best bases and trying to use my iPhone to kind of zoom in as much as possible, relying on not the scorekeeper, but like the scoreboard operator because he had like some binoculars with him. So I was trying to rely on him. He also was having a hard time. I mean, it was what I would love to say very classic football berry, like 50s, 70s football style. Football weather. Yeah, exactly. I honestly thought going in that they were going to like maybe cancel the game or something, like postpone it or something. No, these kids were determined. And one thing that was funny that in that game was Colton's whole, I think I want to say like maybe 90% of their coaching staff were in, they weren't like Crocs. They almost looked like Crocs, but they were. I don't know if anybody can help me here what the name of those shoes are. They kind of look like Crocs, but almost like clogs almost. I don't know what to call them, but the coach did mention the name of them. I can't remember off the top of my head. Apologies for that, but they were wearing like Croc-like shoes,
right?
Almost like sandals, practically. And they had on shorts and t-shirts. And keep in mind, it's pouring rain, raining pretty hard in Bellflower and all over LA. And, even Coach Keith Miller, when I was talking to him in our little pregame interview, he was telling me, these guys are trying to prove a statement, whatever, and it's true. I mean, they were trying to, show, hey, we're the big dogs coming from San Bernardino, you guys got nothing. Big surprise was Colton's fans. A lot of their fans showed up compared to Bellflower. They had a lot of people traveling down from San Bernardino to watch this game in the mud and the rain. Very, very big shout out to all those fans and parents that came out to support their kids on that. But this game came down to the wire, man. Jonathan, let me tell you, this game, super exciting. Kept going back and forth. Lots of turning the ball over, a lot of fumbles. It was not easy. But when it came down to the wire, Bellflower got the win 13-12, and it came down to a field goal. That came just short. Well, not just short. It was pretty short. Yeah. It was a big miss. But, I mean, what was crazy about this, and I know we only got like 15 seconds before we get off the air here, but what was crazy about this is the last drive starts all the way down on the opposite side at like the 25-yard line, right? Mm-hmm. A series of penalties, 2 back-to-back penalties on the Bellflower defense, suddenly brings them all the way to around like the 40-yard line, Bellflower side, 40-yard line. And then what happens? Quarterback takes the ball, runs out of bounds. Now he's like around the 35-yard line. And then a play after that, another penalty on the defense. And all of a sudden, they're well within field goal range. Yeah. And there's 5 seconds to go. They've got no timeouts left. They managed to stop the clock. So it literally came down to this. And it was one of those moments where it was just, wow, like playoff game coming down to the wire. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
I mean, that was a phenomenal story.
It was phenomenal going phenomenal going. And now thankfully Bellflower, they move on to the next round. They're gonna play Santa Paula on the road. So we'll see. Best of luck to Coach Miller on that. All right, Jonathan. I think that's it for today.
Yeah, that's all we got.
That's all we got. All right. With that, Cristian and Jonathan here signing out. Stick around though, because we got an interesting B block coming up with Ashton and Matt. So don't go anywhere. Be ready for that.
Welcome back to the Talk of Troy, and we got a little bit of a switch up on the B block here. I'm joined by Ashton, and this is the first time where we just had this one-on-one connection.
Us too.
I mean, let's just get straight into it.
Hey, very well deserved. The best duo in the nation.
Exactly.
There we go. James Franklin, getting hired into Virginia Tech head coach after a couple of weeks off being fired from Penn State. What are some of I don't know, what are some of the goals James Franklin has to carry out for this new job?
I don't know. I was talking a little bit about this during pre-production and how there were so many coaching opportunities that he could have pursued, especially at the SEC level or other programs that are more notable than Virginia Tech. But I genuinely believe that Virginia Tech was the best opportunity for him to rebuild the program. He's going to be given leeway into how he can, kind of come out a little slow, rebuild the program. He's going to have some, not as successful seasons as he was used to at Penn State. I mean, we just can't forget that he took Penn State to a semifinals in the CFP. So this is a coach that has been scrutinized in national media for never being able to come up in the big game. And while that is true, while Penn State never really lived up to their potential, I don't think that's fair to say in the case of James Franklin in that he's a bad coach. Yes, he wasn't able to come up in the biggest moments, but now we have to look back at what he did. He was one of the best recruiters in the nation. You stem back to the Saquon Barkley days and then coming back into now and how Penn State always has top-level recruits, and he's going to be able to take that to Virginia Tech, and he's going to be able to rebuild that program. I'm very confident in it.
And I think Virginia Tech was the best option for him as well, just because the simple fact, you're going to get better players, but you're not, the brand is not the same brand as Penn State, even though I think Penn State is a little bit overrated as a brand itself, but it allows him to dust himself off, right? Start back from the ground up, build a little bit of notoriety as a head coach, and really, listen, the pressure of facing Ohio State versus the pressure of facing Boston College or Wake Forest, or I'm just looking at Tulane or some of the teams they have on their schedule already. It's not that much of a. It's a very big difference, right? Than having to have the pressure of taking down the defending national champions. I don't know. I really like this move for James Franklin as well. It just really, I kind of felt for him when he would just never come big versus top 5 teams. And it was almost just like it was more of a curse because Penn State just always found a way to lose those games. And unfortunately, that's a representation on him. But yeah, I think Virginia Tech, if you end up not being able to beat the big team in the ACC, in the ACC, it's not gonna hit as bad as in the Big Ten. So Virginia Tech also, they haven't had a 10-win season since 2016. So this is not really a hard job for somebody that is for a coach that was as rated highly as James Franklin back in his his prime, I guess you like to say. But I think he should be able to turn some things around there.
You mentioned the move to the ACC and how it's going to be so much different than the Big Ten and what we're used to in the conference. And you look at it now and you look at the AP poll and then you see the teams that are in the ACC and then you look at their strength of schedule as compared to the Big Ten and the SEC, and these teams have such an easier path to the college football playoffs. And while ACC teams have to be more perfect in terms of their overall record, it's much harder to make it as an at-large team as 10-2, but the conference itself is just so much easier. When you have teams like Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Pittsburgh at the top of the division, no disrespect, but these are not powerhouse programs. These are not programs that are perennially compete for a national championship. You have Florida mixed in there, Louisville. These teams will always be competitive, but with the pedigree of James Franklin, he's going to run the ACC. I'm very confident in it and how he's going to transform the program. And this kind of goes into the question I want to ask you is, how long are you going to give James Franklin time with Virginia Tech to really make this work? Obviously, you need a couple of years in the beginning to really get the recruiting up and running. You need to develop the guys that you're going to believe in. But how long is the leash for James Franklin if things start to not work out?
I think, obviously, if things start off and they get as bad as Bill Belichick with North Carolina, obviously you're gonna have to, because he doesn't have the notoriety of a Bill Belichick, right? But I think you could give him a little bit more leeway, and I'm thinking at the end of that third season, that third season should be where you start to see them competing, right? Like see them maybe looking to get into the top 25, because if you look like the teams you mentioned, like Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh, like Georgia Tech just came on like recently, right? In terms of being one of the best teams in the nation. Last year, people, when they upset Miami, like people were looking at that as, as Miami, like Miami, this was Miami's fault that they got upset, not because Georgia Tech is as good. And now looking like people circle Georgia Tech on the schedule now. So I don't think it takes as long as people say to turn over a program, especially if your head coach is as good as people think James Franklin is coming to Virginia Tech. So I'm just going to say it again. Like I do think this is a good move for him. It alleviates some of that pressure from Penn State, especially coming off of, going to the semifinals or the semi round last year. And then losing to Notre Dame. So I'm going to give him about 2 by the end of year 3. If we get into year 4 and he's like, we're Virginia Tech as a team, we're still not coming through with some of these ranked matches, then okay, then we're going to have to look at the coaching problem there.
Well, we'll see how the recruiting shapes up for him and how he's going to get everybody on campus and the development. But sticking with the topic of college football, the AP poll has come out for this week. And while we don't have the college football playoff poll yet, that I think is more important at this time of year, the AP poll is a great indicator of where teams are kind of standing at in terms of voters, in terms of where the nation sees them. And the biggest shift in this week is Bama falling 6 spots to number 10 in the AP poll after their loss to Oklahoma. And for Oklahoma, this was a do or die game. Oklahoma has one of the hardest schedules in the entire nation, and this was a statement game. If they lost, they were done. Even though they were going to be a 3-loss team with a great resume, there was no way they were going to make the college football playoffs at large with 3 losses. So this was huge. They keep their playoff hopes alive. If they win out, they're a lock. They're going to be one of the top seeds in terms of at-large teams. So that's one of the biggest shifts in the AP poll. The other one, I know this is going to hurt Christian for me to say, but Texas, after falling to Georgia, dropped 7 spots in the AP poll to number 17. And other than that, there wasn't much movement. I mean, we touched on it briefly with USC moving 1 spot up in a pretty tough game in which there was a lot of coverage between USC and Iowa at home. Iowa was ranked in the college football playoff poll, and for them to move up only 1 spot, I don't know. How do you feel about the AP poll this week?
I think, number one, and Christian may be hurt by this, but I moving them all the way up to 10, like after like the Oklahoma win, I think that was just not like. Yeah, like
especially
I think
when
Mateer
coming off that hand injury, it's I don't know if you can call that it was a big win, but I don't know if that was a season defining win.
And I mean they did beat Vanderbilt, so that but I'm not really a believer in Vanderbilt as is Alabama. I mean. Let me just say this about Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has the best defense in the nation. What they did to Alabama and Ty Simpson as well, I mean, he was looking to make his case for the Heisman, and still might end up being like a finalist. But how they were able to limit that offense and limit Ryan Williams and the other receivers, escaping my name at the moment, but they have a really good receiving duo, and to limit them this past game, I think that was very indicative of how good and how just like dominant Oklahoma's offense is. I mean, if Mateer didn't get that injury, I think Oklahoma right now would be a top 5 ranked team in the nation. I think Mateer, when they lost to Texas, I think he was rushed back way too soon from that hand injury. And I mean, obviously, like he was looking like the Heisman favorite before he got hurt. USC, on the other hand, I kind of understand why they're hesitant to move them up. I didn't like how we were moved into the top 25 when we beat Michigan, and then the next week we were out of the top 25, and then we went back into the top 25. Like, to me, that was just stupid. Like, I don't understand why. But moving up 1 spot, I mean, you have Georgia Tech above them, Miami, who at one point was the second team in the nation, ranked, but they've gotten some bad losses, and Carson Beck has looked horrible throughout the stretch. He hasn't looked as good as he did at the beginning half of the season. You have Vanderbilt. I mean, I already said how I feel about Vanderbilt. I think USC should be above Vanderbilt, and then the head of the Big 12. They got to put that up there. So BYU. So I think that paired with how disappointing USC was last season could add like a kind of like a caution from the AP voters to like, okay, can we really put USC? Like USC has to prove something, and that starts this week. I mean, it started all season, which they've done a good job doing, but the defining test is this week in Oregon. But I think, we're arguing about probably 1 to 2 more spots up. I think it's kind of stagnant there.
Going to the latter half of the top 25, we see 3 group of 5 colleges in James Madison, North Texas, and Tulane, all in the top 25. And we know how it works with the at-large bid. Only one of these teams is going to be able to get into the college football playoffs. And this was another thing I talked about before the show. And it's how much can you consider these teams to be a threat in the playoffs? I mean, we've seen James Madison in the past make a case for them being in the playoffs. North Texas, I mean, this is the first time they've been relevant. If you've been anywhere on college football Twitter, you see that the couple of North Texas sympathizers are really, really pushing for them.
It means something to them.
Exactly. But for all of these teams from here on out, they have to win out. They have to win out, or they have to win their conference with the American. And so for them all 3 to be ranked in the top 25, I kind of don't understand that, because there's been so much SEC, ACC bias that yes, they want to refresh in the polls. They want to see some variety. And while it's cool to see teams like this, it's you put them up against teams that are actually in the top 25. I just don't understand.
If you look at the college football playoff ranking from last week, South Florida, because they were in the American, they got that automatic bid, right? So the discussion would then become, okay, I know me looking at the rankings. Well, what happens when, let's say, USC beats Oregon, right? Or some team that gets I don't know, let's say Miami, right? Miami was ranked number 2 in the nation at one point. Are you going to keep them out just because you have to give an automatic bid to James Madison? I don't think as a football watcher, somebody that's going to sit down and want to enjoy these games, I don't think I would rather see James Madison than Miami. You know what I mean? As bad as Carson Beck has been, or USC, or let's say even BYU fans, or they would automatically be in. But people in Utah, so you could say another team from a more competitive conference, you're going to keep us out to put in something if we lined up Utah versus James Madison or South Florida, they would smoke them, right? And this, I get it with this with North Texas fans, right? This was their first time being ranked since 1959, so it obviously means something to them. But I'm sorry, and it sucks, because these programs are never going to be, or let me not say never, but they're not in a position to have a legitimate argument as one of these best programs in the nation anytime soon. I think it's really tricky though, because I just can't see I can't see a group of voters saying we're going to put in this American team over X team that has a better resume, it's a better team in a better conference, better players. I just can't think of it.
The one topic that I'm really interested in seeing that's going to play out over these next few weeks is going to be those inevitable 9-3 teams, or the 3-loss teams that are going to be on the fringe. And the ones that I really want to focus on are going to be, we talked about Miami. Miami has the most interesting case for where they stand at right now, and if things go wrong, or if they go even worse. They already have that loss to SMU, which is really, really a tarnish on their resume. And then they obviously have that loss to Louisville as well. And as it stands, Louisville isn't ranked, SMU isn't ranked, and those two losses are really bad, yet they're still ranked number 14 in the poll, and that's just because of how high that you mentioned before that they were ranked in the AP poll. But now this is a situation, and if you keep them in the top 15 and then they lose another game, are they going to drop out? I don't know. And then another team that I want to focus on that has 2 losses right now, it's going to be between Bama and Oklahoma. I talked about how Oklahoma, for me, is going to be an automatic in. But now that they have this win over Alabama, what happens if they lose another game? Do they still have a chance? And
Yeah,
I think
it's tricky.
I think Oklahoma is the only team on here with that could have 3 losses that I still think would have the strongest case of making the college football playoffs. I think that's the only example that you can make a case for them and how their season has gone so far. I mean, that Alabama win might be one of the biggest wins in terms of how things shape up in the college football playoffs all year. I mean, we'll obviously see the conference championships. We'll see how everything else plays out. But that win was so pivotal for both teams, negative and positive. So,
Yeah, I mean, I do think both of these teams with Alabama and Oklahoma, I mean, their schedules, you can't predict anything in college football, but they're playing Missouri this week, and then next week they play LSU. Alabama plays they have a tune-up game this week. I forget versus who, and then they play Auburn, right? And they've beat Auburn like the past 5 years, probably even more. So, but I think it's interesting about Miami because Miami has Pittsburgh at the end of the year in their last game of the year, and then James Franklin's new squad in Virginia Tech. I don't know, maybe they can show a little something. Maybe this James Franklin hire, even though he's not coaching the team right now, but maybe that motivates them a little bit. But I think Miami, if I had to bet on a team to lose one more game, I would bet Miami, just because of how, like, Carson Beck, dude. I can't say it enough. I'm not a believer in him. I think he might fold versus one of these teams. If Miami wins out, would I be surprised? No. But I think the fraudulent meter, I guess, is higher with Miami. And at that point, I mean, I think I would put Miami in a conversation with USC, to be honest, because USC has, I believe they have more ranked wins. They have wins versus
if USC
opponents.
beats Oregon, then they're 100% beating
But even
them
if
out,
USC, even if USC doesn't beat Oregon, right? Like, does Miami have a win as good as USC versus versus Iowa, right? Like,
and that Michigan win is huge too.
Yeah. Do they have
especially
a
if
win
Michigan keeps winning out?
They have a win versus no, this is the season. This is the schedule for last season. But they beat Florida, right? They beat Stanford. They lost to SMU, like you said, which is unranked. They lost to Louisville, who lost to who did they lose to last week? They're unranked. It doesn't even matter. Syracuse, right? And then wins versus Virginia Tech. I mean, I don't think USC. I don't think Miami's opponents in their schedule is as better than USC is. Also, they have a win versus, at the time, South Florida was ranked 24th, and now they're unranked. So I don't think I would put Miami over USC if it came down to it. But
even if USC was a 3-loss team, you would still put USC over Miami if that came down to the final spot.
Yes, because I think USC is a better team than Miami. I think their schedule was tougher than Miami's, and their wins were better than Miami's. And also, like I said this in our Studio A class earlier today, but I do think it's a branding thing as well. Like, I think people would rather see USC on national television than Miami in this point in time. Like, when's the last time USC has been in the playoffs? Like, this is also a reason why they expanded the playoffs. I know we just keep it at, like, the sport and, each team, the talent of the team and who's better gets in, but they did expand this playoff so more teams have an opportunity to get in. Like, USC has never been in a college football playoff. So I think that would be a cool opportunity if it came down to that.
Well, with the AP poll, there's some huge games. highlighting the one this weekend, College Game Day, USC, Oregon. We're all going to be tuned in for that one. But let's shift towards the NFL. And this was a huge slate. We're not towards the playoff hunt necessarily yet, but there are some huge games that have shaped up how the playoffs are going to look. And I think the one game that I want to highlight is the Panthers versus the Falcons and what's going to happen with the Panthers in the rest of the season. It seems like every other week we're teeter-tottering between Bryce Young developing and becoming the quarterback that he was envisioned to be, with him being the number 1 overall pick, and then him trying to take Carolina post Cam Newton out of that, basement of mediocrity. Bryce Young just lit up one of the best secondaries in the NFL. The Falcons have been one of the best in limiting top wide receivers, and he goes out there and goes 31 for 45, 448 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And this was, mind you, there was no ground game contribution. Rico Dowdle's been one of the best running backs ever since he took over the starting backfield job over Chuba Hubbard. He only had 45 scrimmage yards this game, so it was all Bryce Young. He found Tedder McMillan for 2 touchdowns and 130 yards on the day, and he just outdueled Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins. And this has some big implications, because who expected the Panthers to be 6-5? I mean, I certainly didn't.
Nobody.
I certainly didn't. But now you have to look at the rest of the season. Do you think the Panthers can be a playoff team, or do you think that they're just going to fade away in the end of the season?
I don't think they're a playoff team, and that's not due to them. Like, Dave Canales is doing such a great job with Carolina, and also to Bryce Young's performance, that was a franchise record for he set a franchise record for single game passing yards. But when you look at the NFC, like, I think this is one of the few years that when we look back at previous years in the NFL, that the NFC top to bottom is better than the AFC. Like, the Eagles just took not sole position, but they kind of got a little bit more wiggle room with first place right at 8-2. The Rams, and I'm just gonna say it right now, like, I think the Rams are my Super Bowl pick.
I really like
to
the Rams.
represent the NFC.
That win against the Seahawks was a statement win.
Yeah. The Bears. Talk about surprises.
First
the Bears
in the
with
NFC
the
North.
3rd seed in the NFC, and then the Buccaneers, who are no pushover. They've had some tough losses, but they're also a very great team. All of their losses, you can say they could have easily won versus the Patriots, versus the Bills. And then they beat Seattle, who was the first wild card team in Seattle at 7-3. The Packers, I'm not really a believer in Jordan Love. I just find him overrated, and I think he is the sole problem of the Packers' offensive woes. But the Packers are still a good team. San Francisco, the 49ers, I mean, they have hella injuries, and they're still 7-4, right? And then look who's ahead of them, the Detroit Lions, right? So 6-4, and Detroit is, I just can't see Detroit finishing less finishing with less amount of wins than Carolina. Again, this is no slight to Carolina. I just think the NFC right now is just too crowded. Like, it's really too crowded. And then they have some tough games coming up versus the 49ers on Monday Night Football, then versus the Rams, and then you have 2 division games versus the Saints and the Buccaneers, and then you end the season with Seattle and the Buccaneers again. So, I like what Dave Canales, again, I'll say it, I like what Dave Canales is doing with Carolina. I like how their defense is coming together. And this is, mind you, this is a team that traded away Brian Burns, right? The NFL's leading sack leader. I think he's tied right now. And their defense does seem like they didn't really lose a step, to be honest. And the offense is coming alive. Rico Dowdle is taking that sole possession of that starting role. The Panthers are just a team I would love to see in the playoffs. I would rather see them than the Packers. I'll say that for much. But that's just my opinion, though.
The other team that I really wanted to get to, and one of the most exciting games that came from the Sunday slate, was the Seahawks versus the Rams. And Seattle has a chance. I believe it was a 61-yard field goal attempt. Jason Myers doesn't come up with it. It's shanked right. And the Rams come away with a tough divisional win. And for Sam Darnold, no passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And if you go back to last year where Sam Darnold was horrible down the stretch, especially with the injured offensive line, Darisaw
where he faced the Rams again.
Exactly. And you look at the remaining schedule. They play the Titans. That's a shoe-in win. The Vikings, although J.J. McCarthy has struggled, the fact that J.J. McCarthy was basically unplayable until that final drive and they were still able to take the lead on that touchdown throw to Jordan Addison shows you that team is not something you just scoff at. That's a competitive game. Then they play the Falcons. The Falcons have been one of the worst teams in the fourth quarter, in the clutch. I've seen them blow so many games, so I think that's a guaranteed win for them. Then they play the Colts. The Colts are one of the most dynamic offenses in the league, but they have struggled against good defenses, and Seattle has been one of the better defenses, especially up front. But, who do they got to play again? They got to play the Rams again. And as much as we all love Sam Darnold here and his ties to USC, Sam Darnold is just never going to be the answer. I don't think, even if the Seahawks do make the playoffs, and I think they will with the remaining schedule, I just don't think he's not a ceiling raiser. He's just a floor guy.
I think that also speaks to just how good Seattle is as a team. Like, I was going, and then I also took into account, like, okay, well, it's probably, unless you're the Chiefs, betting odds are the Eagles will not make it back to the Super Bowl, or they won't go back to back. So I went into this game on Sunday saying, okay, well, the Super Bowl, the NFC representative for the Super Bowl is going to come out of this matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks. They held the Rams to 21 points after the Rams put up 30 points per game over the past 3 weeks. Seattle, you said it, Sam Darnold throws no touchdowns and 4 picks, and it still came down to a game-winning field goal attempt from 60 yards. I want to give Sam Darnold a little bit of leeway. I think sometimes, and again, don't hold me to this, I'm not betting on it, but I do think sometimes you have to get your teeth kicked in to really come through. Like, do I expect we see a better Sam Darnold in a second matchup versus the Rams? I do. I don't think he'll be this bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins it.
But if you're a Seattle fan, how many times can you get your teeth kicked in? You saw what happened with the Vikings last year. It was bad.
Yeah, it has
towards week 17, it was bad. Playoffs, bad.
It has to be on Sam Darnold. Like, he is going to be, I mean, obviously, the deciding factor between whether or not they win or not. Because I'm telling you this, like, I think Seattle, top to bottom, is a better team than the Rams. Now, I don't think that might be crazy because you say, okay, well, they got Puka and they got Devontae Adams and then they got Byron Young and just a studded defensive line, and their defense is good. How explosive Seattle was this season has been insane. JSN, if Jonathan Taylor somehow, like, if they decide, okay, we're not going to give it to a quarterback this year, which I think they should not give it to a quarterback this year, and Jonathan Taylor wins MVP, JSN is your offensive player of the year. Like, his pace that he's on still was insane. Sam Darnold, though, it's just, I don't know, it's just the tail. I mean, I give him props for turning around his career, because when he left the Jets and the couple of years in Carolina and in San Francisco, I mean, it looked like he was just a career backup, and now he's looking like somebody that is like a premier starter in this league. So I don't know, man. Sam Darnold is just it's a curious case, because it's like the moment you feel like he's getting it turned around, he comes and he throws for 4 picks and no interceptions. I mean, no touchdowns.
As our time's winding down, we've been talking so much about the NFC and how it's been such a competitive race. This is the most competitive we've seen in the NFC in such a long time. If you have one team going to the Super Bowl out of the NFC, with how it stands right now, who do you have?
I think it's the Rams. I really do. I think Matthew Stafford, the last couple of times that the Rams have played the Eagles have gotten away just by the skin of their teeth. And then many times the Rams should have won. And the Eagles, their offensive woes, they could try to mask it all they want, but I think it's going to come to light down the stretch here. And even in the playoffs, they can't spread out the ball as effectively as they've done in the past. I don't think the Sunday's win against Detroit really solves that for them. They got the ball to A.J. Brown here and there, but it wasn't anything like crazy like when they first got A.J. Brown. and they were just AJ Brown was having like over 150 yards like multiple times during the games that they had. I'm gonna take the Rams because I just think Stafford and what he's got going with Puka and Devontae Adams and that defensive line is just. I think they really want to take down Philly, especially after that horrible loss they had to them in the playoffs. And then, I mean, the horrible loss they had to them this year with Jordan Davis blocking their field goal and returning for a touchdown. Are you kidding me? So, like, I'm a stick with the Rams. I will give you a dark horse, though. I think a dark horse, I would still pick Seattle as a dark horse. I don't give them props. I don't give them head over, like, the Eagles. I'm going to give some respect to the defending champions, but I think in terms of like their team from top to bottom, they have a really complete team.
I think I'm going to mirror the same sentiment with who you got coming out of the NFC. The Rams just look unstoppable because in their wins, they look so dominant. And with the Eagles, I know it was a windy night, but it was not a pretty win. It was not a pretty win. I know you know, when you win some of these games, they're not all going to be pretty, but I just don't think the Eagles have that same level of dominance. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be a quarterback, to primarily take you because Saquon's having a down year. I just think that Stafford's veteran leadership, him and Kyron, you have Puka, Devontae. You mentioned that, amazing defensive line they have. I just don't think there's a way in which the Rams don't make it to the Super Bowl. But I mean, you heard it here first. I mean, we're in November and we're talking about the Super Bowl. So when the Rams are there in February, you know where you heard it here first. Right. But that's all the time we got for the B block. Don't move. Stick around. C block coming soon. Thank you.
Dude.
And welcome to the Talk of Troy. That's going on the blooper reel. Tony and Nolan finally back.
We're back. I'm sorry I was so gone for my hiatus, but it's time. I needed to be gone, but it was my birthday.
Happy belated birthday. How old? Yeah. I should know this, but
22.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I got asked earlier today, like as I said, it was my birthday, and they were like, "Oh, 1920," and I was like, "What year do you think I am?" They were like, "A sophomore."
Wow. Who said that?
My Viterbi coworkers for work study, and I was like, I've never gotten that young before. I usually get on the older side, but I guess it's because I shaved recently, so that's why they might have done that.
Yeah, facial hair always does that. I get like 2 years younger when I shave, and then 2 years older when I
know
look like this.
It's coming back soon. I needed to shave this in order to sacrifice for a KD championship. That's the reasoning.
Oh God. Well, yeah. So me and my co-host / 19-year-old co-host, whatever you think Tony is. Let's get into it. So USC just beat Iowa. Obviously, playoff hopes for football are still there. You went out. You're probably going to make it. The big test lies ahead this weekend. It's Oregon. We just kind of heard a little bit of banter about that. I want to get your thoughts, though. Oregon, can USC beat them? Will they beat them? What are your expectations?
Okay. I believe that this is not as much of a lay and egg game as people are going to say it is for USC. A lot of people are saying that this is either going to be a game, if USC somehow miraculously wins, it's by a lot, or they just lay an egg. I do not think that this is the case at all. I think there is a way for USC to win this football game out in Eugene. They have so much momentum. They have literally, I would say in the last 3 games, have honestly corrected a lot of their mistakes in the past. Iowa especially, one, I think that was probably the best game of the season. A lot of people will say it's either that or Michigan. In my opinion, it was Iowa. I was at the game, and it just felt electric. I think they figured out their second half struggles. They've been a second half team for not a lot of the good reasons, at least in the past, in the Lincoln Riley era. And except for that game, it really was amazing to see how everybody was clicking. Everybody was clicking. The defense was clicking, especially. And they were toughing out. And this team, I'm not saying that, nobody's saying that this is a national title team of USC. Maybe like down the line when that 2026 class comes in and the little years afterwards. But this is a team that can actually compete for a playoff spot, which is huge for this program. They need to do what another team that has done it before against Oregon, Indiana. Not saying that Indiana and SC are like these, but I am saying that if they emphasize on turnovers, which will be harder because no Bishop Fitzgerald potentially and no Kamari Ramsey. SC injuries are it's really getting bad at the wrong times, but potentially like one of those guys can come back. I don't know about Kamari. He had a knee brace apparently, and he had to be carted off the field.
That doesn't look good.
So, I mean, I'm hoping for his draft stock as well, but also just for this team's potential to excite people that he can somehow at least be healthy. I think that if you win him in the turnovers, and especially at Eugene, that puts the pressure on them. And also, something that USC has been, putting their foot down, that is a part of who they are in their identity this year. It's their offense.
Yeah.
Their offense, Indiana kept up with Oregon in their offense. That's how they beat them. Even when Oregon beat Penn State offense was matching them. So this game really is a factor of, can they get those turnovers, and can they rely on their offense, and especially can they make sure to notice how their receiver core can react to their defensive core. Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane,
they will not be stopped.
They will not be stopped. I think that a great test was that Nebraska game where they were both really tested about Nebraska's defense. I think that it was a very clear identifier that these receivers can be limited to a degree, but I think that now that they know what they can do outside of not even mediocre defense, but just elite defenses and ranked defenses against this defense against Oregon, I think it's possible because now they know what they're going up against.
I don't think USC has as much momentum as you're saying. First of all, the best game absolutely was against Michigan. You're talking about, was it a 2 or 3 score game against against what I think honestly is the second best team they've played, other obviously than Notre Dame, which you lost that game. That's obviously not your best game. After that Notre Dame loss, you have a 4-point win against Nebraska. Good. That's nothing great. Nebraska's not an awesome opponent. They're a good opponent. They're not awesome. Northwestern, okay, I'll give USC that. They did exceed my expectations. That was like a
Northwestern
3-score
almost
game.
beat Michigan.
And Northwestern's a good team. Iowa, you beat them at home by 5 points. Again, you got the job done. You came back in the second half. I would not call this momentum. This is a good team that is narrowly beating other good teams.
But Iowa was they were not no fall over and die team against Oregon either.
They weren't, but you can't say that they have so much momentum because they're narrowly beating an Iowa team when one of Iowa's best games, honestly, was holding Oregon to only beating them by 2 points.
Listen.
That's like a highlight of Iowa's season. A 2-point loss.
When have we seen in the last string of the last couple games, have we seen a passionate Lincoln Riley as we've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln Riley was passionate after that game.
He was
he
was passionate, and I think that these guys, I feel like there was a lot of debate about do these guys think that they can run through a brick wall for Lincoln Riley? I think that this team now is starting to believe that, and I think if you head into that mindset in Oregon, you got the away game against Nebraska, who has a great away crowd. Granted, we know Dylan Raiola was out. We know that, but they understood what it takes to win in that environment. I think that it is possible. This is not an unwinnable and impossible game for USC. Now, it requires it requires a lot of big asks from them. But Oregon, what sucks is that there is no surprise. There's no potential sneakiness that comes with this opponent for if you're Oregon right now, because they're going to be, after the next polls come out, USC's 16th, 17th ranked. So now it's not the, they're a better team than we thought. No, like Oregon's going to know to at least try to put the foot on our necks if they can. So that does suck, not having that potential to surprise them. But USC wants it. USC.
So does Oregon. Oregon loses a game and they're out of the college football playoff.
Oregon loses a game. They're probably number 12 or 11.
Yeah, they're right. They're right. You don't want to lose if you're Oregon, though. You don't want to put yourself in that shot where before the season started, you were easily supposed to make the college football playoff. You were kind of a contender too.
Yeah.
I just looking at that Iowa game. Students are talking, and fans in general, college football fans in general, whomever, are talking about how USC, they're big boys, they can play Big Ten football. This is the first time I've seen the Trojans beat a team in the trenches. No, you didn't. You beat Iowa because when it stopped raining, Jaden Mayava threw for 300 yards. Mekhi Lemon had 150 receiving yards through the air. King Miller was not good. USC as a team averaged 3.5 yards a carry to Iowa's 6. Iowa was good on the ground. Iowa beat you in the trenches.
They were good on the ground. They weren't going to say that they were not going to be good on the ground. That's been their identity of their team. And their head coach, who always said that they can play big, rough, and tough Big Ten football against USC and not expect it. Maybe they shouldn't have been throwing out trick plays and trying to get fancy on their offense.
They shouldn't have been.
So yes, they still didn't win that run game. But they won the football game regardless, and that rain leaving at the absence towards the end of the game, the sun literally shining as USC wins. I don't know what that is if you believe in something, but that tells me that the sun might shine on this team next weekend.
The sun also might not shine in Eugene because the weather report keeps going back and forth. Yesterday it was saying it was going to rain on Saturday. Today now it says it's not. If it rains in Eugene, mark my words, USC will lose by 2, maybe 3 scores. Oregon has possibly the best run game in the country. They have a 3-way trio of running backs with Noah Whittington, Jordan Davidson, Dier Hill, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. They as a team average 6.3 yards a carry. That's number one in the Big Ten. No one else has above 5.7. Iowa, yeah, they were a good running team. Oregon is on a whole nother level. If it rains, USC will lose the running game. And even if it doesn't rain, you're going to be on a silent snap count. You're not really going to want to be throwing the ball. You're still going to have to run a lot. And do I want King Miller to go against an Oregon run game that might be the best in the country? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, Waymo may or may not return as well.
Waymo, King Miller, doesn't matter. USC running game, I do not want to go against Oregon. That's all I'm saying. And Eugene fans, they show out. You're not going to be able to hear a word. And that's when you want to be able to have a good running game. That's all I'm saying. I'm terrified for the Trojans.
I'm terrified, but there's something about that sun shining through the clouds, man, that was just euphoric. And I really think that this is not. Can you at least say that this will be a slugger? You don't think that?
It might be. Here's the thing.
It might be.
I'm not that confident. I think the teams are relatively well matched if it was on a neutral site. I don't think Oregon's that great of a team. I think if it goes to the Coliseum, it's like an even spread. Right. And even on a neutral site, I think it's fine. It's just the fact that Oregon's running game is that good and USC's is good, nothing special, and you're going to Eugene, and it might rain, but at the very least, this is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. Doesn't make me feel good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm scared. Let's switch over to NFL though. Let's talk a bit about NFL. We're at this point over halfway through the year, approaching kind of that. We're seeing what teams are looking like they're in the playoff picture, and we're seeing the leaders of those teams, and those are the guys that are in the MVP race right now. Matthew Stafford is the number one favorite. He's kind of been teetering on that line, he's kind of been seen as the number one front runner, kind of been in the top three. Right now, he's pretty solid. He is the front runner. After him, it's Drake May, and then it's a noticeable gap, followed by Josh Allen and Jonathan Taylor, actually. Yeah. Which, incredible season for him, so it doesn't surprise me.
Sorry, Indiana Jones. Sorry.
Who's your pick right now?
Oh, for me, right now, it's Drake May.
Okay.
I love what Matt Stafford's doing at his age. Dude, he went from debating if he was gonna put on the cleats this year.
Yeah,
and for him to put this stat line is nuts. He just looked like he's kind of turned the clock. He looks like he's got the highest IQ on the field a lot of the time. Made Sam Darnold look like Jets Sam Darnold, which is sad. Sorry, USC alum. I think that he's been great. But what I like from Drake May, it kind of comes back from the last time that I was here. It was up in contention with Drake May and Indiana Jones, which that take is set aside now, and Baker, which is also set aside. And Drake May really, he might be probably the best quarterback in. Okay, I can't say in the AFC yet, but he has that contention. At least he has the contention, and I think that with what he's just been doing for New England, reshaping their belief after years of wondering if they're ever going to get back to the Tom Brady.
All right, it was 3 years. It was 3 years of depression. I swear, if I hear from Patriots fans about how long they had to no, you suffered for 3 years.
That's fair.
Yeah, Tom Brady and Drake May. There's 4 years in between. It's not that big of a deal. But yes, he did bring them back.
And Jacoby Brissett. Yes. Who's now dogging it in Arizona.
Most completions in a game ever. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Brissett.
Sorry, Kyler. Go play COD. The expectation for me is that Drake May will eclipse Matt Stafford. I think Matt is probably he's had a lot of recency bias in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, you could say the same thing about Drake, but I feel like Drake's had a more consistent year as opposed to Matt.
I would say don't say that May's the best quarterback in the AFC quite yet. We also said that about CJ Stroud after his rookie year. So
yeah,
let's see another year or two. But I also think May I mean, at this point, it's May's second year, and we've seen that clear progression. Stroud got way worse after his rookie year. So, I mean, I'll keep this short because I agree. I do think May's the MVP. Stafford, awesome year, but he's throwing to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Has Kyron Williams there. Their defense also is a little better than the Patriots. They're both really good, but the Rams literally have the second best scoring defense in the NFL.
Yeah, they get it.
That's a huge help. With Drake May, you're throwing a Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, and a bunch of nobodies. As if Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry even were that big of name. Like, this isn't 2018 anymore, so they're not that big. You've got them, and I'll just read you some stats. He's got a 72% completion rate, which leads the NFL, over 2,800 passing yards, also NFL leading, 22 total touchdowns, 5 interceptions, wins over the Bills and the Bucks, and those 2 losses that they have came in the first 3 weeks. So he's showed clear progression. Drake May's my MVP, but yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford has been awesome, and if Drake May drops a couple more games, Stafford probably will be the MVP. Because right now, the thing May's got going for him is he took this really bad team, and now they're 9-2.
That's true.
So drop a couple more games, and Stafford probably will take that. But I don't think Stafford should be the favorite.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. You think by the end May will win it. I'm not saying you're MVP, but you think he will win it?
He might at this point, man. I mean, like, if I don't see anything more from, like, I might even see Jonathan Taylor have a better case than a guy like Josh Allen by the end of the year.
I agree.
So
Colts keep winning.
I could see that even being a more contentious debate than another quarterback winning. But yeah, I think Drake May is probably leading in that discussion after Matt Stafford has a bad game, which is inevitable. I feel like it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Well, Drake May for MVP. I've been on that campaign for a couple weeks now. Let's talk some other teams though across the NFL. Teams that maybe aren't doing as well. I've got a list of 4 squads that I think their records might be a little misleading. I'm comparing the records to their total point differential or margin throughout the year, where the records and the margins absolutely don't align. So the first up, we're going to have 2 teams from the AFC that both happen to be kind of mediocre, and I think the margins show they're better than mediocre. NFC is going to be winning squads that really aren't that good. Let's start with the AFC. The Texans, just mentioned CJ Stroud. They're 5-5. They've outscored their opponents 220 to 163. That's a positive 57-point margin. Do you think their record shows who they are? Do you think that margin shows who they are? Are they a good squad? I mean, the story for their team has been amazing defense, offense is
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's like the defense is hard carrying them right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm sorry, CJ. You know, obviously, like, try to figure out what can work best for you, get better. But yeah, this and no Joe Mixon still throughout most of the year. Don't know what's going on with him at all. He might not even come back apparently until like late December. And at that point, what's even the point?
I drafted on my fantasy team, put him on my RS slot because I thought he was going to come. He's not coming. I dropped him.
Yeah, it's just like maybe you can have him there for the vibes, but like it's like this team is, I think they should even be even worse.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie. The fact that they're at 500 is impressive to me as it is.
Their offense is really, I won't say really bad, but it's very disappointing.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one, Kansas City Chiefs, also 5-5. They've outscored their opponents 254 to 181. That's a positive 73-point differential. What do you make of this squad? Should they be 5-5?
I saw a stat the other day. It might have been today actually. That it was last year. The Kansas City Chiefs were 11-0.
I saw this today too.
in last score possessions in the game at the end of the game, and this year they have 0 wins.
Yep.
Oh, a big old donut. What does that tell you? Doesn't mean that wasn't a grenade. No John Moran reference. No flags being dropped. No consistent offense either from this Kansas City team. No cohesion that I've ever really seen so far this year. Like, sure, Patrick Mahomes can try his best, but this Kansas City Chiefs team is just, I don't know. Maybe they're that magic of them being always just trying to figure out a way to win the football game, it's not sustainable. You can't rely on just, we'll figure it out, we'll ride this one through. Eventually you have bad practices, you have bad just mentality, and your team is just very frankly not as good as it should have been in the last year and a half. And now it's showing.
Well, the team this year, I think, is better than last year. I genuinely believe that.
Really?
The team this year is a better team than last year. I think their defense is better. Patrick Mahomes had an off year last year.
I will say, yes, I do think he's performing better than he did last year.
And now you've got Rashee Rice. Even like Travis Kelce doesn't look any worse than he was last year. Like he was regressing and now he's just kind of plateaued.
Yeah, now he's just putting on the record points at this point. Like
I think the Chiefs are still a contender. I don't think they will win the Super Bowl. I mean, at this point, they're not in the playoff picture. Right now, they're out of it. They're one of the first teams out. But
you can't contend if you're not in it.
They're 5-5. Those 5 losses have all been one-score games, and they've lost to generally really, really, really good squads. They are the Chargers, Eagles, Jaguars, Bills, and Broncos. Those are all teams above 500. They've lost by 1 score. Obviously, you got to win those games. If you make it to the playoffs, you're going to play them. You can't drop one of them or else you're out. But the teams with the only better margins are the Colts, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Patriots, and the Lions. Those are almost all 2-loss teams except for the Lions. Also, I think the record's a little worse than their margin suggests. But, the Chiefs are a good team, I think. They've lost 1-score games to good teams. They're on the butt end of the stick this year for the first time ever.
They are. They've had lots of years where, they've been some of the luckiest teams that we've ever seen. And, this year it just isn't following their way for them. Which, if you're a Chiefs fan, that sucks. But
if they get into the playoffs, anything goes.
If they get in the playoffs, we all know
they're a game out.
They're a game out, and you don't want to play them because it's just the added history. You'd feel nervous.
Yeah. Let's switch over to NFC. Some teams that I think their records are so inflated. The Chicago Bears, they're 7-3. They have been outscored by their opponents. 258 to 264. I guess I should have flipped that. So collectively they have given up 6 more points than they've scored, and they're 7-3. Their wins are over the Cowboys, Raiders, Commanders without Jaden Daniels, Saints, Bengals, Giants, and Vikings. None of those teams are over 500, and they have still managed to been outscored. Yeah, this is a bad football team.
Were the Bengals? Yeah, Joe Flacco. So
this is a bad football team.
This team, I think it's all credit to Caleb trying to, showcase that he is capable of, showing flashes and being a creative QB for his team. I do think though that this competition is dog water.
Yeah,
it is so Mickey Mouse, and it pains me to say it, but I can't really judge this team at all for what it is. And it's just the way it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say.
Let's move on to the last team, still in the NFC. The Panthers are 6-5, quietest team above 500
so
ever.
Weird, yeah.
I was doing my research and I was like, really? They're 6-5? They're above 5? I did not know that. But to I think no one's surprised, they've been outscored 249 to 207. So they've been outscored by a total of 42 points, and they're a game above 500. I think I know your answer, but does the record reflect how good they are?
No. No. It's Rico Dowdle. That's all I can say. That's all I got.
Yeah. He that negative 42-point margin is about how many points he gives me in fantasy every week. No, he's awesome. But the Panthers, most fraudulent 6-5 team
absolutely
in a while. Let's move on to last NFL topic. I'll make it super rapid fire so we have time for something at the end.
Hit me.
The AFC West. We just talked about the Chiefs. They're 5-5, not in the playoff picture right now. But again, notable wins against the Ravens, 37-20, and a 30-17 win against the Lions, and then those 5 tight losses to good teams. But they're right now 3rd in the AFC West. 4th is the Raiders, which are 2-7. They're not doing anything. The top 2, Broncos 9-2. Number 2, Chargers 7-4. who's making it on top of the West, who's going to get a wild card, who's the best who's going to do some damage. Are three of those teams going to make the playoff? Like, what are you thinking from this division?
I already think that the Chiefs are probably locking for the wild card.
Okay.
I hated on them before in our last conversation, but as much as I did say, they're not gonna be able to, we'll figure this one out. Unfortunately, I still think they might be able to figure it out towards the end of the season and squeeze out a wild card somehow. So yeah, I do think the AFC West will have. I think they will.
Okay.
Very frankly, I think the Broncos are clearly they're gonna make it.
And so you think they're legit? Because a lot of people are saying they're the worst 9-2 team they've seen in a long time.
I wish Bo Nix was having a more impressive year than his record reflects, but they still don't have Pat Surtain, and they're still doing really good.
They're winning football games.
They're winning football games, man. It's like there's not much else to say.
Yeah, they've beat the Chiefs, Texans, and Eagles. Their only two losses are on the road against the Colts and Chargers. That's the best resume in football, I think.
Exactly.
So imagine what they'd be doing if Bo Nix was looking good.
I know.
That'd be a scary football team.
The guy that I drafted first before Drake May.
Yeah, what a mistake there.
So yeah, he's sitting nice on my bench.
Yeah, that's the AFC West. Speaking of the West, though, you have something to say about them.
I do. So the West in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen, was always known to be the best in the West, the Wild Wild West, especially this year. God damn, did we think that the West was going to be so incredibly competitive, the most competitive that's ever been. We always say that every year, but
every year for the last decade,
but
it's the same thing.
But this is the year. This is the year that we all thought, man, this team is going to be literally 10 to 12 teams deep. Like they're all going to be able to compete for a playoff spot. As of right now, there are 11 over 500 teams in a conference to an 11 over 500 teams in their conference. Can you guess which one is the other one?
Would have said the West has 11.
No, it's the East. The East right now has 11 over 500 teams.
That's a shocker.
Beginning from the Pistons, who are currently the number one seed, all the way down to the Orlando Magic and the Boston Celtics with Jaylen Brown at their helm with Neemias Queta. So, and for the West, it is. Oh, by the way, the rest of the teams that are like not winning are literally like 3 and 10, and like one. The poor Pacers, man. 1 and 10. It's like they could have had it all. They didn't. Too many.
That was their year.
Too many rituals. Too many sacrifices.
Yeah.
They should have. Whatever Siakam was doing in that in that hallway clearly bit him in the ass later. But the West, 3 teams speak out to me in general that have been major disappointments, and it's a really big reason why there is a big disparity. The Memphis Grizzlies, the LA Clippers, and the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Those 3 teams have been extremely disappointing, all sitting at 4 and 10 right now. I wanted to ask you, between those 3 teams, between the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, and the Clippers, who has been the most disappointing and who is in the worst situation right now? Because I think they all have different stories to tell.
Yeah, I mean, in like the context of the last year, obviously the Mavericks, it's like, I mean, you kind of gave your all away, and then you got this like saving grace, and he looks fine, but Cooper Flag still isn't enough to get even close to 500, but he's still a rookie. So I said that's like the obvious answer, but honestly, I think the Clippers are equally. I mean, the Clippers have not had a losing record in 15 years.
Yep.
They've made the playoffs 12 of the last 14 years. This is finally the year where the Clippers end their perpetual like good mediocrity to just not a good basketball team. They have no future. You could have had SGA. You could have not given all your picks away for Paul George. You did all that, and this is like the Unk squad that you were hoping to acquire, and
You signed,
this is the last hope.
I think the nail in the coffin was when you guys signed Bradley Beal, and
now he's done.
And he's done.
Kawhi's doing who knows what.
Kawhi's doing who knows what. And Chris Paul, you light my fire. Like averaging a whopping 2.5 points per game. He's gotten DNPs. Real quick before we leave, but because James Harden's been like the real saving grace of this team, who do you think at the end of their career will really be like the best peak for peak between him and Kawhi Leonard?
James Harden.
Okay.
Absolutely James Harden. Kawhi Leonard, this generation loves Kawhi Leonard because we saw like, those couple of years where when he wasn't getting injured all the time, what he could do in the playoffs. At the end of the day, though, like
James Harden ran into some really nasty teams, and
he did.
I'm sure he could have taken a 2019 type of Raptors team to that finals team.
And he was always more fun to watch. He has the numbers to back him up. And longevity, it's important.
His longevity is shot through the roof somehow within the last couple years.
He's putting up triple doubles as like a slightly undersized guard. Like
and Kawhi and nowadays and for back in 2018, 17, 16, he was a decently sized guard for that position. But now Kawhi and James Harden, I feel like that contention was so high back then, and now it's like, man, James is really just like. He's always been that much better.
He won't have the rings to prove it, but...
He won't, and not with the Clippers either.
No.
So, sorry. But that's all we got right now. We'll see you guys in the next segment. So, tune in for next just 2 minutes of your time. We'll see you guys then. Peace. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this last segment of our show. And you know, we're here with the three amigos. I'm here with Mr. Matthew Kim. I have been on here once with you before.
I think one time.
So, but it is nice. It is nice to be back.
Switch up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm here back again with my co-host basically on C Block. But yeah, it's time to talk a little bit more about ball before we talk about our last little fun question of the day. I wanted to talk real quick. The Atlanta Hawks right now, they're like the number 2 defense in the league without Trae Young right now. And they have in the last 10 games without him, with his MCL injury, he has the Hawks are 8-2. And when Trae Young was on the floor, they had the 28th ranked defense.
Wow.
So I just wanted to ask you guys, like, is this the way? Is this how Atlanta trades away Trae Young? Like, I after a lot of years thinking, like, you know what, getting traded might make the most sense, but he's never wanted it, or the Hawks have nothing to lose. They have nothing to gain from losing him because, like, that's all that they got. They have Trae Young, but now it seems like, wait a minute, maybe they're figuring something out. So, like, I wanted to ask you guys' opinions about this, because it seems like everybody in the league could probably be could be wanting a point guard of his talent. So, like, I just want your thoughts.
You had an iconic trade that ended up with Trae Young over there, Luka in Dallas, and not too many years out, 2 of, like, the best point guards in the league are going to be somewhere else. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I mean, Trae Young, as far as I could tell, really never was going to get traded if something like this didn't happen, because he's always been the focal point of their offense. Like, in a relatively mediocre team, he showed like flashy highlights.
He had one Eastern Conference Finals appearance.
Yeah, and that was like kind of the highlight of their team. But still, like, even when you're not a great team, if you have one great star player, you do anything to keep him. But he is not good on defense. And I remember I saw him play one time when the Clippers were still at Crypto, and where I was staying with my dad, same hotel that the Hawks were staying at, and I saw the guys walk out.
Oh, wow.
And Trae Young was so short. I swear, whatever they say on Google, like, it's an absolute, I think they said like 6 feet. Absolute lie. He's shorter than me. He's like 5'10".
No.
And that explains everything about why he is so bad defensively. But yeah, if he's gonna get traded, it's because of this. Like, this is what will do it, because you're never going to trade him when you see a flashy offensive guy. But yeah, he sucks on defense.
I mean, the Hawks have been mired in mediocrity for so long. I think Atlanta's one of the franchises. I mean, this is just the glimpse of what I've gone through social media and looking into it. I don't know, Atlanta's been so content with hoops and how they've been so mediocre. I feel like their franchise hasn't had those aspirations to really, step up to the next level. I mean, you've seen teams like the Pacers who were always in that, 9-10 seed, always looking for a plan, towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and then they really stepped out their roster, and then look where they got. And now Atlanta's faced with a decision with their star player, and we've seen iconic playoff moments, especially with him, Trae Young and the Knicks. I mean, that's just, Knicks fans will always remember that, and Hawks fans will always remember that. And I think Trae Young's their guy, and I think that they know how bad Trae Young is on defense. And I still think if you ask the average Atlantean, they'll say that they still want Trae Young on this team, because I think he's their only consistent offensive producer, stemming back to the past couple of years. And you just don't trade away offense like that, because you don't know how good you have it till it's gone.
Yeah.
And we do know how good the defense when he's gone.
I mean, we knew that this team was like going to be a low-key sleeper with their offseasons. I think that, like, in a lot of people's eyes, Atlanta won the offseason with just like their sneaky signings. They got Nod, they got Porzingis. And their young core, has improved. Dyson Daniels wanted to be, I feel like he should be a little bit better than where he is right now, but regardless, their teams looked better. But like you said, the Hawks, they don't really have a sensible mind to trade him, in the sense that I think that, one, if you give him up now, I honestly don't know if Trae Young has enough motion to garner a 1-for-1 deal with anything.
How many first round picks do you think he'd get?
Brother, not enough. Not Desmond Bane picks. Like, that's for sure. I don't think, and I think that they would ask another piece in return that honestly the Hawks would be less willing to.
Yeah, they got to balance it out with a contract
to throw away. So I think if Trae got traded, I don't know if the Hawks could do it because he might not be in the market. He might be like in a Ja Morant situation where he doesn't guard, like, he's a great talent. I think he's probably a little bit better than Ja right now because Ja's putting up LA Russell Westbrook numbers. But right now he doesn't seem like he has a link to winning basketball.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had it since, like we mentioned, in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021, where I really remember the only exciting thing Trae Young has ever done in his life was when he said, quiet in New York. So I don't think Atlanta fans are necessarily asking for Atlanta to like win now and like try to like make their team really good. But I think that even though Trae Young's happy, if you did trade him away, I think they'd be low-key giving up a little bit more than they want, and it's like they can't afford it. So like, it's not like you can just make Trae Young not play basketball, but it's almost like, well, what do you do? You're kind of stuck in a really bad situation.
What do you do when your star player is linked with when he's out for 10 games and they're 8-2?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you lace them up and it's like the next man up. But at this point, the next man up has been better than what you guys have seen in the last couple of years. So, a little concern if you're a Trae Young fan, or if you just bought a Trae Young jersey just cause. I think they brought back those MLK jerseys from like a while ago, so those were cool, I guess. But yeah, enough about Atlanta and the A. We don't really care right now. We're going back to it. USC, Oregon. We talked about like the other sides of the game right now. I want to know if you guys were in Eugene and if you guys were going to make a poster for the game, for College Game Day, what would be your guys' poster?
I think the one go-to, I'll give you two. I'll give you the, for the mainstream people, I'll give you the Zero Natties with the Oregon logo. I think that's an absolute classic. People say it's overused, but I think it's such a good narrative. Yeah. Especially now with how, good they've been in the regular season, and then Oregon will always Oregon. I think that's a classic, but it's always good to bring up things outside of athletics. We're very blessed to be here at a prestigious university, and Oregon's cool, but it doesn't take much to get into your organs and places and such. So I think their acceptance rate is 85%, 90%, something like that. So they really let anybody in. If you got a working brain, I don't even know if I'd go as far to say working brain, but if you got something going on up there,
85%, by the way.
What's it at?
85%.
Wow.
I mean, yeesh.
Oh man.
But it's always I wouldn't say cool, but it'd be a little funny to pull one of those off. The difference in education.
You came here for the sports and the vibes, but you didn't earn it.
Exactly. I mean, I just never understood the concept of going to like a school like Oregon strictly for football. You might as well just go to an SEC, school and actually watch them win some games. That is actually really sad. If you go to Oregon just for athletics and then you get disappointed like that, you could have made a much better business decision. But
my friend went to Penn State for football too. So
wow, that's
bad timeline. Bad timeline.
Yeah.
And
condolences,
man? Their acceptance rate's got to be even higher, right?
It might be.
I actually
need them.
I actually think they might be. Maybe a little bit.
Oh,
lower.
really?
I think their business.
I think they're lower, but
Penn State 54 to 56%.
That's not bad.
Well, they might need to crank up those
corrected.
numbers to pay back Franklin's contract. So, that might change in the next couple of years. But, I.
Oh no.
I might think of like a very not well organized, but very obvious joke out there, something with covering the duck with the Trojan, and you just got to wrap it up. You just got to wrap it up in cold Eugene. They're not going to be able to handle it, and they'll be all shriveled up like a little duck. So, something along those lines. But also, I think a good funny always picture is just the duck costume without his head. So I feel like that always is great, and maybe have the Trojan's head always be big because that's huge.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one. I'm gonna do something similar to that. The last point you made, I would say something along the lines of like going along the frame of its duck hunting season. I'd get like our Trojan sword. I'm not artsy one bit. I can't draw. I can't do any. But I'd source this out to someone else. I'd have someone else help me with this. Have someone else design the Trojan sword, like going through the duck. I love animals, but for now, I won't.
Just a little
kill that duck.
Malignant.
Peter's gonna see our show.
I know. No, yeah, I think that's an obvious one too, just with the whole sword bit too. I mean, I don't know. With all those like goofy heads on the mascot, like if you were in College Game Day, what
Wait,
head
Tony, wait.
Yes, of course.
I've been waiting to say mine. All right, so I would do something similar to what you said, Tony. With the headless duck, but so it's gonna be a picture of the duck, right? And I'm gonna be kind of creative and make it like so where I can move it a little bit. So when he takes the duck head off, it's going to be Sam Heward.
That's Sam Heward. Oh, my God. That's actually genius.
That's pretty
good. Do you
good.
think the average citizen in Oregon is going to understand the joke? I mean, we'd obviously understand it, but...
College football fans would
understand it, but if you went
Dave
to Oregon...
Portnoy knows it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeesh. Screw that guy, but...
Yeah, we're dirtbags, apparently. So, but it's okay.
But Sam Heward in the duck costume, that's pretty good.
That is good. It's funny. Sam Heward's in my class, in one of my classes. So I gotta tell Sam Heward about.
Oh, really?
That's pretty. Yeah,
shout him out, man. Shout him out. Bring him onto the show. But yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say before. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I don't know how I forgot. Our lovely big producer and our lovely host. If you guys could wear like a College Game Day mascot head, like what? Like it doesn't have to be SC or Oregon, just like random mascot head. What would you pick? What would you choose?
I would do the Stanford tree.
Oh my! Cardinal.
It'd be really funny to bring out on air. I was gonna go with like a nice menacing
an air freshener.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go with like a menacing one. I will say, I mean, there's menacing ones that are cool. Oregon would be really cool to have. I think it'd be really funny just have a duck on air. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Stanford tree would be awesome. Get in everyone's way. Hopefully you're not sitting next to me because you're not gonna have any room. That tree is like huge because it's like small top and then it just gets bigger.
The broad shoulders.
So sense. Good.
But it's also just like your legs showing on the bottom.
That is not.
That's true.
You're just saying it's okay if you sit behind the desk, then they won't. know.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll just be a fake tree.
But yeah, I've always thought that was the stupidest like mascot in all of college football.
I got one better. Right now, because I had a coworker who goes to Cal. Their mascot, their current, they say it's so creepy the way that the eyes and the golden bear are. It's like the one with the sailor hat. That version of their mascot, I feel like if I put that on, and if I it would be kind of fun to terrorize some families that had like little kids and just look at them.
Your reason,
and just look at them and just make them cry, and especially if they're Oregon kids, it'd be funny. But I mean, but yeah, just as a random one, just like what's the most. Yeah, I'd try to pick the most terrifying home.
That's a bad reason. Because you want to terrorize kids?
Hey, man. It's just like, you can't yuck the yum. Unless the yum genuinely sucks, which it might. But it's okay.
Wow, what an answer.
I think for mine, I'm going to stick with Oregon, but I'm not going the University of Oregon. Things are always better when Oregon State is good at, they're always great at baseball, but when they're good at football, college football is at its peak. But to be a Beaver, with the big teeth, I really do think that the beavers are one of my favorite animals in general.
Yeah.
So, to don the beaver head with the big buck teeth, I think that'd be cool.
That's cool.
Be
I
cool.
had I don't know if he's on the Beavers anymore, but we had our only really good guy on our football teams at my high school. He went to Oregon State. Isaiah Newell. He was a running back, and he went third string as soon as he got there. So I don't know. Goes to show, even if you're the best in your hometown, doesn't mean you're the best. The best of the best, really.
Even in Corvallis, not the best of the best.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, guys. I mean, I don't know. It was a really quick segment for the last bit of the show. But I mean, that's all the time that we really got for tonight. So we'll see you guys next time this Wednesday. Tune in for Wednesday Crew to try to shake it up a little for you guys. All right. We'll see you guys later.